Our informatics project was about the benefits of breastfeeding education. The individuals that we focused on were the first-time mothers looking into breastfeeding or formula feeding, and the impact of knowing more knowledge on breastfeeding and how this is more beneficial than formula feeding.
Through our research, we found that exclusively breastfeeding a child fosters their overall development. The CDC found that in 2019, 83.2% of babies received some breast milk at the beginning of their life. At 1 month, only 78.6% of babies were still receiving breast milk, and by 6 months, only 55.8% of babies were receiving breast milk. Many families fail to breastfeed as long as they would like, and disparities among races and ethnicities still exist. Therefore, breastfeeding support programs can help families become successful with breastfeeding their children. Our PICO question is, what are the advantages of educating first-time mothers on the benefits of breastfeeding versus using formula on the growth and development of their newborn?
Our first article was a randomized controlled trial with 83 first-time pregnant women in Thailand who sought prenatal care and childbirth services at a university hospital in northern Thailand. The experimental group received additional educational resources on top of standard care, while the controlled trial just received standard care. Results proved that the experimental group developed more knowledge and felt more comfortable with how to breastfeed and why it is important. Article 2 was a non-experimental quantitative study consisting of 252 infants from 6 NICUs from 2006 to 2010. The study compared preterm infants who were formula fed with infants who were exclusively breastfed. The study found that exclusively breastfed infants had decreased rates of necrotizing enterocolitis and higher cognitive and language development scores.
Article 3 was a randomized controlled trial conducted in 2016. The type of feeding, exclusive, partial, or artificial, was noted at 3 and 6 months. The study also gathered information from peer supporters of the patients. The aim of this study was to measure the impact of first-time mother support programs on breastfeeding rates. The data showed higher rates of exclusive breastfeeding in those with the support program at both 3 and 6 months post-delivery. Article 4 was a qualitative study consisting of 14 pregnant women and 8 support persons. Each mother was assigned a support person to provide emotional and physical support while they were breastfeeding. At 6 months, 60% of supported mothers were still breastfeeding, compared to only 44% of mothers not receiving extra support.
Article 5 was a randomized controlled trial consisting of 102 people. There was one educational intervention added on to routine care, which was a smartphone app, and one control group that just had routine care. This was conducted in 2019 in Iran. The results revealed that the app improved self-efficacy of breastfeeding for first-time mothers. Article 6 was a quantitative study examining the effect of exclusive breastfeeding on infant development. Participants consisted of 225 unemployed mothers, and results showed that exclusively breastfed infants had higher scores of cognition, communication, and social interaction.
3 of our sources were ranked level 1 in quality A, and 3 of our sources were ranked level 3 in quality A. Overall, our articles show that providing a first-time mother with breastfeeding support increases their success in breastfeeding.
Some recommendations that we came up with were to update the hospital policy to include an additional educational tool, to continue to monitor the literature for new evidence on how to support first-time breastfeeding mothers, and educating staff on new evidence-based practice. A limitation of Article 1 was that the study was only conducted in one hospital, so the results may not be a representative of the general population of first-time mothers. Additionally, it required a lot of cooperation from the nurses. Some limitations of Article 2 include a lack of data on how much milk the infants consumed and what confounding variables would have contributed to the outcomes. And Articles 3 and 4 had very similar limitations, including a need for improvement on the way the mothers were recruited and better communication between the mothers and their support person, specifically in emails.
Some limitations for Article 5 were that there was only a 3-month time period to conduct the study, and the app they used was only available for Androids. A limitation of Article 6 was that it had a small sample size, so the results cannot be generalized.
Here are our references. Thanks for watching!